community, learning, discussion, respect, integrity, truth, science, and discovery. Welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. Hello and welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. I'm your friendly neighborhood ghost hunter, Justin Brown, and we are presenting episode 41. And the topic is going to be non-human entities. Do they exist? Do things like angels, demons, elementals, fairies, all that stuff, is it real? What do I think? That's what we're going to find out tonight. We're going to find out, hopefully, what you guys think. If you've had any experiences, run-ins, encounters, stories, what have you, I want to hear about it. And I will tell you mine as well. We have Missy Vastine and Jessica Bias with us tonight, as always. How you girls doing? Are you ready?
We're ready. I'm
All
starting to
right.
get bored.
You're starting to get bored? Well, I want to apologize to everybody last week. I was sick again, and I scheduled Necromancer on Awen's birthday, which is my 13-year-old daughter, and I rescheduled Pam and Steve Barry for tomorrow night, which was awesome that they understood. And I had Awen's basketball award ceremony Tuesday night. I'm like, I tried to push it back an hour, but then when I got home, it was too close to the time. So I said, screw it. And I didn't give much explanation, so I apologize to you guys for doing that. I'll give you some updates before we get the show on the road. But before I give the updates, if you're new, you haven't watched this show before, if you have any questions for Jess, Missy, or myself, you can put them in the comments. Periodically, we'll look and read, and we'll answer your questions to the best of our ability. Feel free to chat amongst yourselves. You can even cross-chat between Facebook and YouTube. All the comments can be seen on the screen, so everybody can see what everybody's saying on both platforms. So I want to promote and advocate that as well. And please share this video. Please help me get that word out there and get this show shared all around Facebook and YouTube, any social media platform. But the updates are going to be about Necromancer. Necromancer's last show for a while is going to be tomorrow. I'm going to be revamping the show, doing some different things. I'll be taking a break. I'm getting the last episode of Portal of the Past done this month, so that's exciting. Randolph County Infirmary. A lot of people are waiting for that. I know Brandy Reader is, and probably a lot of you. If you have not checked out the last episode from what the crap is it? Thornhaven Manor. If you are a Patreon, you are listed as a producer in the credits of that. So make sure that you watch it if you have not, if you're a Patreon. And if you would like to help produce our videos that we do when we go to locations, we'll talk about Patreon later. So yeah, Necromancer is going to go on hiatus. This show is going to be here each week. As long as I don't mess up and as long as I'm, alive and well. This show is going to be every week. I plan to do this show. It's not very hard to do. The format's easy, and a lot of people like it. And that we're going to try to continue the 2-hour special at least once every couple months. If you guys want to see it before then, let us know. But we're going to get to it. We're going to talk about non-human entities. What do I think? Well, here's what I think. If you're going to believe that the human spirit is real, if you want to believe that we leave behind some sort of energy, some sort of essence that retains either our consciousness or some simulation of our conscious self after death, then you have to, based on that logic, believe that there are things out there that are not like us. Angels, demons, fairies, elementals, jinn, all those things are out there. And I do believe it's possible that they're out there. But what is interesting is the theology behind it is interesting. Different belief systems did not all exist at once. Christianity has not been around as long as other beliefs that have their, own mythologies, their own pantheons of gods, deities, and entities out there. So you have to raise the question, are those real and others not? I think they all can be real, and I'm going to explain why. I believe that we personify a lot of different energies and we manifest a lot of things, and we try to describe things like angels. They could be guardian angels, they could be divine. You can describe things that are benign, they're not evil or holy, the best that we can, the best our brains can imagine them. A lot of them are like cherubs. They have angels. I think that's the right word. A lot of people with near-death experiences describe angels as beings of light. They describe demons as shadow people and, winged, hideous-looking things. And I just believe that there's a lot of things out there that stem from our own psyche. We place our own beliefs and project them, and these entities can exist in a realm that's not physical like ours. My mother refers to it as an ethereal realm, where things from our imaginations are projections of our desires, our fears, can manifest and be very real. Whether you're open to that or not, I do not blame someone for not believing in such things, but I have come to a point in my life to accept things like that to be real just based on experience. Okay? We've recorded supporting evidence of these things here and there. It's very rare that I do, but a lot of them involved very gifted metaphysicists that can tap into those realities and those realms, dimensions, what have you. So there leaves, that logic leaves the possibility of almost anything you can imagine that you put faith in, that you believe in, to be real. Now, I do believe that entities like elementals, fairies, sprites, the dwarves, all those nature being type things, I believe that there's some beings that are real that do not rely on belief systems. We just kind of attach our own description of what they are. I believe there's a lot of things there. One belief system might attach a description and the way they look and the way they act, and another can attach something completely different or similar. There's a lot of cultures and belief systems out there that are influenced by each other. So you will get things that do kind of match up, that do kind of align. So with all this being said, it's interesting to think about that if you can believe in something, and if a whole society as a culture can believe in something over a period of time, hundreds, thousands of years, are we manifesting these things? Absolutely, I believe so. Do I have proof of it? No. So you do want to take some things, it's a grain of salt, but you do want to, I would urge you and recommend that you keep your mind open to the possibility of, negative entities, demonic entities, for lack of a better way to describe them, as real. Elementals as real. But that leaves room to a lot of misidentification and confusion. So as paranormal investigators, when we go into locations, we investigate and research such things, we have to be very careful on how we interpret and how we label these things. A lot of people can pick up on characteristics of these type of entities where others are just guessing. Psychics, mediums, people like that are more keen on picking up the motives and the vibrations of certain entities if they have the experience with these. Some Some, metaphysicists have been doing this since they can remember, 1, 2 years old. Some metaphysicists can remember past lives, their own past lives, or certain aspects of it. Some can remember things that are unimaginable to us normal folk. So you have to find the ones that you believe to be legit, reputable, and kind of get the lowdown of information to certain types of entities. Now, yes, there's people out there that are just crazy. They can be misled and they can be over imaginative. Yes, you have to, find out what's going on there. But there should be some evidence of some type of mental aberrations or some unstableness there to kind of give you a red flag. But that, with all that being said, that's kind of the fun part of the paranormal. You get to figure out what's real and what's not real, and that's very gray and that's very fuzzy. Because when we go back to my explanation before, it doesn't really matter if some things are real or not. Some things just manifest and are real based on belief itself. They're projected and emanated from our psyches, from our energy. It gets very complex. All right. So can these entities affect you? That's another interesting question, right? Can we be attacked? Can we be psychologically affected and manipulated? Yes. I think not everybody's vulnerable. Not everybody can be affected in the same way. And I think that is very complex and confusing as well. I think some people can go their entire life and not be affected or influenced much. And some people can be affected and influenced a great deal, whether they believe in it or not. Now, there's some phenomena that kind of require you to believe in such things, like possession, for example, demonic possession. All the statistics show that demonic possession happened to people who believe in it. There's no cases that I know of that demonic possession has happened where they do not believe in it. Now, that could be wrong. There could be cases that I don't know of, but it's not the most well-documented thing on the planet, so I can't really be sure. But based on the records that I see and the availability and resources of information that I see, that is the case. So you can be affected if you allow it, if you don't protect yourself. Some people like to believe that if you're weak, you can be vulnerable. There's a lot of theories that I have and that I've read about and heard about and talked to people about that we won't get into a great deal. But I'm ready to hear what you guys think. Do you believe in non-human entities? Have you had any run-ins with, evil, with angelic beings, with elementals, with strange things? I would really like to know these things. So let's do some shout outs. Let's see what everybody's talking about and then go from there.
Do you want to go first?
Whoever would like to go first.
Go ahead, Jess.
Okay, I have Sam Thomas was in here earlier, Sandy Wolf, Craig Williams, Joe Vitale, Tina. Sandy was discussing about her mother when you were talking about near-death experience and stuff. I guess what happened with her mother, she was in a plane crash in 1969, and the plane was burned her everywhere but her face. She did say that she was in a coma for months, and she said that her mother described she was like in a holding place, but did go out of her body, but it was like a holding place, is how she described. Her mother described it.
I'm really curious about what the holding place looked like.
Absolutely. Yeah, she just said, my mother was in a coma for 6 months. She said that she was in a holding place, but did go out of her body somewhere else.
The most craziest and fascinating story of near-death experience while someone was in a coma, not a colon, coma, was Eben Alexander. He was a neuroscientist or a neurosurgeon, something like that. And just look up Eben Alexander near-death experience on YouTube, and there's many interviews and documentaries about that. Very awesome story there. But Yeah, that's interesting. Is that all we have on YouTube that you can see?
Yes.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. Please keep the questions and commentary rolling. Who we got on Facebook?
I have Derek Schreiner. I have Sam Thomas. I have Katie Turner. I have El Salvador. I have Josh Bender. I have Tammy Petty. I have RJ Murphy. I have Sandy Griffith. I have Nelson Niehaus. I have Heather Elliott, Ryan Zackerl, Christy Brown, and Joe Anderson.
Nice. We got Ryan Zackrell in here. He usually doesn't get the chance to pop in. Nice to see him. And some unfamiliar names.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for joining us.
Janet Pennington, I also have.
Okay. Janet Pennington. All right. Any questions or any like nice typed out experiences or anything yet?
El Salvador says, I've been mocked by a demon speaking Italian, saying Dio, 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 which means Jesus. It wanted me to say Dio and not Jesus. Eventually, my sleep paralysis would cease after numerous calls out to the name Jesus. It's very powerful, nothing more so, and a spiritual demonic attack.
Yeah, there is a lot of people that have had, run-ins with what they believe are demons. But like I said, it's usually the people who believe in that. RJ Murphy's got something he just typed out.
Yeah, he said, I had one experience during an investigation where we believe we were dealing with a malicious spirit that kept touching my daughter. As a result, I became angry and confronted it. The part that stands out is that I only remember walking into the room to confront it. I don't remember the 30 or so minutes of the confrontation. I only know what happened during the event because it was filmed.
Yeah, I remember him telling the story when we had him on Necromancer. And that's really weird that he doesn't remember it. Very strange. I would like to see the video. Did he publish the video anywhere? I can't remember if he did. RJ, if you did, please send me the link in Messenger or something so I can take a look at that. That would be interesting. So, yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. This is going to be something, a topic that I usually, try to listen more than I say, because my run-ins with, non-human entities are very limited. The witchcraft that I've dealt with, I was told was witchcraft, and I don't have any reason to not believe that. There was this entity not allowing me to sleep. And a lot of you have heard this if you watch my shizzle. I've spoken about it a couple times. And I would eventually be so disturbed and kept up by this entity that I could not see, I could not hear, but I knew was there. And it was forcing me to pretty much go to my mother's house and stay there with my oldest son and his mother, because I just had to sleep. I could not take it. And I've never experienced anything like that. So it followed me to my mother's house, and then it started messing with my son's mother. And she kept on, telling me, hey, something's staring at me at the window. I'd go out there, there's nothing there. The next night, the same thing, the same time, something staring at me. I'd go flip on the light, and then I see this energy anomaly. It's wavy, it's bending the light and doing all kinds of weird things. It's got this staticky aura around it, and it's moving like up and down, like very strange. And then I seen all these other orbs of light that my mother would speak of that she seen when she moved into the place in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. And this is the first time I've got a good look at these entities that were totally separate from this thing, and it was swirling around. This sounds like an acid trip, but it's real. Both me and my son's mother are sitting here watching this, and it's swirling around this anomaly, and it's almost like neutralizing it. After that, it started to behave completely different, like it was freed from whatever was controlling it. When I look over to the left, I see this aura outline of a human-like figure sitting on my futon couch, and that scared me. I've never seen anything like that before, and usually when I see things like that, it's so real, and it kind of, scares me because it makes it so real that, it's a little bit disturbing at that point. So I pretty much observe this thing kind of float out of the room, and it kind of peeks at behind the door, and I follow it out into the living room. It goes into the kitchen, then it goes into my mother's room. Eventually, after about 5-10 minutes later, it allows me to walk into it. It feels really strange, feels like cold, hot sensation, like I just took a bath in icy hot. And it diminished and went away. And my mother's landlord is a shaman. She came in, we told her the story, she cleanses the house, she asks us questions, and she determines that a photograph that my child's mother had brought of her brother from a party we had at his house where we were staying previously, the energy kind of piggybacked and hitchhiked on that photograph. So she smudged the photograph and said that this was witchcraft, and whoever was dabbling in it will have this haunted. The room, like poltergeist, water would manifest out of thin air. It was bad. It was all the stuff you see on TV and movies being real, but not quite like they portray it. It's the phenomenon is very spread out, and it's a lot different. So yeah, there are things that are strange out there. There are monsters in the closet and underneath your child's bed. They have reasons to fear such things because the brain knows, it tries this, it's in survival mode at times. And, of course, as parents, we tell them there's no such things, but a lot of times that's not true. That's a lie. We tell them to ease their fear. So yeah, that's crazy. Any of you girls have any run-ins with anything like that?
No, not yet.
You've never picked up on anything that that wasn't human?
No.
I did at Randolph County Infirmary.
Really?
Yeah, remember that entity that had all the tentacles, the
right.
hallway Josh didn't. Yeah, he was picking up on. Yeah. There was something there that felt like someone brought that in. And at Monroe House, that was not human. The trickster, the jokester.
Well, yeah, but I don't think anything at the Monroe House is actually human.
Well, there were, like, all the people that were being kept in the basement, the woman in the walls upstairs. Yeah. What about you, Jess? Anything fucking crazy? I
know I've told this story, excuse me, before. My cousin, I was at my aunt's house, and my cousin, I was, falling asleep on the floor, and I was seeing like these heads move around, and it wasn't nice. Like I guess you could say, like they were like, I don't know, it almost looked like clown heads, but then like they had like their hair was just like this, like it was weird. Because I was probably 11, 12, and I can still picture of it happening today. Like I remember going to my aunt and like, I'm seeing this, and she thought I was crazy. So I went back to bed with the pillow actually over my head, so I wouldn't see it. But that I still be like, I could like draw it, like it's in my head ever since then.
Yeah. I would love to say I've never heard stories about heads, floating heads and crap, but we have on Necromancer. I've interviewed, tomorrow will be the 73rd interview I've done on that show, and you just hear so many crazy stories. And people just experience things that are out of this world. So any other questions or interesting things going on?
I do. Give me 1 second to scroll up. Sandy said she passed away. Her mother passed away, but she said she was not here at all. It was like some people say that they seen themselves like she was in another world with her mother. Tina wanted to know her cousin's autistic son lives with them. He's 35, but he has a mindset of a 6-year-old. Do you believe that people with special needs attract certain entities, like specifically shadow people?
I've definitely heard that, and I do believe that that's possible. Children with autism, children, with certain types of disabilities, their brains operate differently, so that will alter their perception in a lot of different ways. And I have found that not only children have, certain unfiltered perceptions of such energies and entities, but people who have different brain chemistries, vastly different brain chemistries than ours, than what we call normal, can see things. And I've heard a lot in autistic children. So yes.
Okay. Sam wanted to know, do you think when one dies, of course it opens up another realm, but do you think it stays open?
It opens up another realm? Is that what they said?
REALM.
Yeah, realm.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know if it opens up another realm. I think that our spirit exists in another realm, and it's tethered to this realm in a way that cannot be explained easily. There is a belief that our spirit is connected to this, to our bodies in this realm, by a silver cord. And I'm not going to get into the explanation and the belief behind that, but there is some type of tethering. I don't know if it opens, but when our physical body dies, the tether is severed. But sometimes the spirit doesn't want to be untethered from the physical realm, which would cause hauntings. Now, a lot of times hauntings occur by things that are not living conscious energy, like souls and spirits. Sometimes it's just what a lot of people would define as residual aspects of the consciousness that are printed into environment and either replay over and over or take on their own intelligences, which is completely crazy. So I do not believe an portal or anything is opened upon death, but I could be wrong about that.
Sandy says she has an old doll that has different looks on its face, and it kind of creeps her out. And Sandy, I would love to see a picture of that doll. Tina also said right before one of her uncle's deaths, he kept seeing a floating head. Of course, nobody else was seeing this floating head. He was not on any medications that would make him see things.
Yeah, there's something about floating heads that is disturbing.
But that's it for right now.
All right, Facebook.
RJ said that it's archived, it was never published, and he will try to find it for you.
Okay.
Josh Bender said, what about Justin's experience with the knocks on his front door and also his neighbor's house?
We'll get into that. I know there's a few other things that I want to get to before we get into that, but I will answer that question.
And then Ryan Zackrell had a big, long comment here. He said, I very much believe in intention of energy. Every negative haunting I've experienced in my years of investigating the paranormal always had a historical event that was negative in nature. In contrast to that, I've also had positive experiences with spirits or energy that can be traced back to historic moments of positivity and love. Some people may perceive that has demonic activity and angelic activity, but those are very subjective terms from our cultural basis. So I've recently tried to cut those out of my own analysis, but I could point toward energies that are completely separate from human entities, whatever they may be.
Right, and that's well put. When I was alluding to before we got started, that our definitions and interpretations are very subjective. And that's what makes it hard to say, this is what it is. This is what I believe it is. This is what I interpreted it is. But it could be completely separate from what it really is. And does it even exist in the physical realm at all? I just think the paranormal is such a weird thing that a lot of people don't really understand, that I barely have an understanding of. But I believe that I'm getting there. I believe that I'm, getting my boots on the ground and getting the experience to understand that sometimes our nightmares can manifest. Sometimes, people that deal with, the occult and witchcraft can do things unimaginable. So yeah, I agree with that. Anything else before I get into the knocking thing?
Janet Pennington said, one time my dad was in surgery and briefly died on the operating table. He remembers floating up and actually saw the silver cord. He made the decision that he was not ready yet and went back to his body.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the silver cord thing has been in a lot of stories in our culture for thousands of years. And it's really fascinating that, we could be tethered, our spirits are tethered to our physical bodies in that way. Very interesting.
And Bill Davis jumped on and Craig Williams jumped on.
Bill Davis knows about the silver cord. Anybody who played Dungeons and Dragons knows about the silver cord when you go into the astral plane. But I do believe that it could be a real thing.
And
all right.
That's all I have for right now.
Okay. All right. I live in an area in southern Ohio that has a lot of limestone deposits. Right down the road, like a mile, is a limestone quarry. And there's been many reports and many sightings of weird things that are alien-like, non-human-like, and the presence of things that seem like they could be, a deceased person or something to that nature. My father-in-law lives 2/10 of a mile down the same lane that we share. We all live in the same farm of his. We all have our own houses. Christy's sister and brother-in-law live right next door to us. We live right closest to the road. And I've investigated a house even next to us that my father-in-law used to live in with his parents. And we've kind of canvassed and talked to several people that live in a couple mile radius of our house, all experience things. And we all see things, everywhere. And what is weird is things knock and bang on our houses. And a lot of times it's in series of threes. And, we had Rich Valdez on Necromancer. He alluded to that, knockings of threes is a sign of demonic activity trying to sneak their way into your home. My mother has told me there's been shadow beings outside of our home trying to get in. So I cannot deny that it is possible that some negative energies and entities have been trying to get in, have been lurking around. But that's just the thing. I keep them out there. Sometimes they do slip in, but they don't stay. I stay up sometimes all through the night. I'm here all through the day. I cleanse regularly. I do what I can to clean my home. I constantly investigate crazy places. I go to people's homes and, rid them of their unwanted entities along with my mother. So yeah, I'm subjected to a lot of that stuff naturally, and they come home. So the knockings are interesting. They could indicate that there are things wanting to enter. So, of course, I'm very careful about such things. If you're experiencing anything like that, be very careful about opening the door and allowing things to come in. If you're hearing knocking, especially in series of three, things can appear one way to somebody, but could deceive you and be something completely different. And, that is true when you there's a lot of places that claim that they see children entities, especially girls. A lot of negative entities will try to take on the identity of something that is not scary, that's something that seems very, friendly, to trick you, to deceive you, and to possibly harming you or influencing you in a way that you would not like. So I will say that non-human entities do not display behavior in a way we think they do. They are not human. They don't have human emotions and thoughts per se. We may try to interpret as some of their motivations and things they do as evil human-like. We try to relate. A lot of times we cannot. And that's what could be very confusing. Not all demons are out to possess you. Some are just messing with you. Some maybe just want to turn you away from your belief, or, they have all kinds of agendas. Some have nothing to do with theology, Christianity, or anything like that. Some of them are just energy vampires. Some of them they feed off certain types of energies. And most of them are vibrational, and they only manifest through whatever gets us to that vibration, whether it's fear, depression, drug abuse, dysfunctional family things, anything to lower down that vibration. Sometimes they dwell in that habitat, so they make sure that they get you there or influence you in that direction. But a lot of the times, things like this, it's really hard to understand their motivations, their agendas, and how they even think. Some of them are way, way more intelligent and complex than we can possibly understand, and some of them are very primitive in nature, and they don't have a lot of complexity to them, but it's still hard to relate to them because they're so very much different from our own. So, yeah, anything else in the chat?
No.
They're just talking amongst themselves.
Yeah, that's what YouTube's doing.
So, Misty, we've been on a lot of investigations with each other. Let's talk Bel Air House for real quick. The shadow entity there, human or not human?
I think it was human. And I say because he was too big. He looked too big to be female.
Why did you think it was human?
I didn't get that vibe. I felt him before I seen him.
Mm-hmm. So you've dealt with a lot of non-human entities.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So how did this contrast from the things you've dealt? Like, give me an example of non-human entities that you've dealt with, real quick. Just one that you can remember that stands out.
I can't specifically remember, but Waverly, the creeper. I stood in front of him at Waverly one year.
So that's non-human.
Right.
So what is that, you think?
I don't know what that is, but he just wants to intimidate you. He doesn't want to.
Why? So that kind of goes along with what I was saying just before. Then, like, they want to get you in a certain state of mind because that's how they feed.
Right.
That's the environment they want. And like you said, if they don't want you there, they're going to try to scare you away.
Right.
Yeah, Waverly Hills is weird. It's a lot of these places are weird because everybody goes to them and does all these things. Their intent is to contact whatever's there, but a lot of times, you got jackasses in there doing things that they shouldn't do.
Right.
And unfortunately, we can't stop it because it's not like every location owner has to babysit everybody that's in there. If I had a location, I would.
Christy just said I'm muted.
You are?
She said she's mute.
Oh. Well, maybe when I switch screens, you weren't supposed to be muted. Here, let me switch screens again. Talk for me. No, you're not muted. At least you're not supposed to be muted.
I was, but I'm not now.
Oh. Did you have yourself on mute?
No.
Oh.
It was you, Justin. It was all you.
It's supposed to be working, darn it. Maybe it's not. I'll look back. If it cut out when I went to your full screen, then what I did earlier didn't work. Oh well. So a lot of things will look like a shadow entity. They're just all black, can't really see anything. Do you think it's fair to say, and both of you can answer this, that a lot of people can misinterpret that as being human or non-human because there isn't really anything to go off whether other than the vibe?
Yeah. When you switched screens was when you unmuted.
Okay.
I unmuted.
All right. I'll have to unmute your NDI source when I switch to that. That's something I didn't want to happen, but okay. What do you think, Jess?
What was the I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, the last question was, if you are dealing with something that appears to be a shadow figure entity, do you think it would be difficult to know if it's a deceased human, a ghost, for lack of a better term, or it's non-human?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't it be if that's what is to portray itself as a human? I mean, I haven't experienced that, so I'm not really sure of how to answer that. But I mean, that's just my way of thinking right now.
Well, the reason I ask is a lot of the stuff I've seen, the shadow anomalies are they can just be a blob, a mist, and they can take on different forms. And that's tricky. You can do whatever you want. So that makes me wonder. Before I just thought, most all shadow figures are all, earthbound entities. But I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I'd like to think that the reason they appear shadowy is the physics involved with how they interact with light, how the energy interacts with light. It's absorbing it somehow. So I don't know if that is synonymous to what it is, or it's just the physics of what it is causing it to look like that. And that is the part of the research that really interests me, because what we see optically can be different than what we see psychically. We see things psychically with our third eye, the clairvoyant part. We can see full-bodied apparitions. We can see all kinds of stuff with our, third eye that's not optically seen. The things that are optically seen have to abide by physical laws of nature. In theory. I say that because that's all I know. Do I know that for sure? No. And we don't even know all the laws of nature yet. So you can't really say that. I mean, it may appear to be something beyond the scope of science, but maybe not. Maybe we just don't know everything that we think we do. So what's going on in here? I see some stuff popping up on Facebook. All scriptures talk about the demonic power. The devil is a fallen angel after all. Good can't happen without bad going on in the world. Vice versa, people get attacked when they go more into sin or get closer to God, and the demon is using you as a pawn to drag you this way and that way. Demon is a bully in nature and won't stand up against the cross. It will try, but it will definitely fail. Let's see here. Yeah, RG Murphy. When she went to full screen, she muted. Okay, I tried.
Billy Gerber just said, I've seen 2 solid black apparitions at the Randolph County Infirmary, one in the day and one at night.
That place is very interesting. It has many different energies and layers going on in there. And I think that place is a victim to a lot of shenanigans. There's been a lot of people do some weird things in there. I've actually seen videos of people doing weird things in there that I wouldn't necessarily do. But, there's a fine line. When you're doing paranormal research, there's a fine line. And that goes for all kinds of research. Medical science has to do some really shady, questionable things to advance and learn and study. So I don't mean to get up too much on my soapbox, no pun intended. But I just think that you have to consider what you're leaving behind when you do certain things and what you're doing to the location. Monroe House is one of the places that upsets me because my mother picked up on a part of the house hiding in a closet. Like there was some part of its energy that was trying to hide. And I do believe that places do go through turmoil. I believe that buildings, homes, structures have their own consciousness and energies. And they take on their own forms of character, and you can do harm to those energies. Also, very, very strange. So, yeah, you have to empathize with that situation as well. What you could be doing to the location itself. All right. Trying to look and see what's going on YouTube. Marilyn just joined us. What's up, Marilyn? Stupid PC issues. Hey, don't jinx me. Trying to see if there's anything going on in chat that will spark some more words coming up out of my mouth. Lots of reports. When talking demonic figures are black in nature, that's what I've seen. I've also seen good golden energy over me. Yeah, and that's something interesting to talk about too. A lot of people associate light with good and darkness with bad, but I don't believe that's true all the time. But what's interesting about the paranormal is that it's hard to define and pin down. There's so much things happening and going on that you really can't say, oh, I'm expert. I'm for sure about this. I know this is going on. A psychic can go into a location one day and say, oh, this is what's going on, this and that, and this and that, and come in a totally different day and pick up on something totally different, and it'll shift and change and morph. And not all locations are like that, but some are. So things can change. And that is confusing to understand because we're constantly obsessed with trying to understand things and determine motives, identities, all those sorts of things. We're obsessed with defining and explaining. And a lot of these things can't. A lot of things like the non-human entities are beyond our understanding. Nature beings are another thing that's kind of hard to understand them from a human perspective. Some of their behaviors and motivations are vastly different from ours. Some of them come across as tricksters. So that's what makes things more confusing. We think they're nefarious, that we think that they mean us harm sometimes, or they're not favorable, but that's just their nature, and it's so vastly different from ours that we interpret it like that. So I guess if you get any message from me from this show this evening is be careful how you interpret certain entities. Now, demonic possession is pretty straightforward. If you're if you have an encounter with an angelic being, that's pretty straightforward. If you have an encounter with anything that's defined by theology, it's usually straightforward. But there's a lot of things out there that is not straightforward. So, the thing I seen in my mind's eye at Randolph County Infirmary was Lovecraftian in nature. It's like something straight out of Lovecraft. So, yeah, those things are out there, folks. I really want to convey that a lot of people disbelieve in such things out of fear. Don't let fear hold you back from discovering something about the paranormal. It's about your spiritual growth. It's very important that we know how to deal with things and then we know what's possible. Because there is a lot that is possible. And if your children are reporting things to you that you're afraid of, don't cut them off. Don't tell them that that's not how it goes. Just try to be patient and try to identify your own fears and how they affect the way that you interact with others concerning such things. Anything in the chat before we start to wrap this sucker up?
I can read El Salvador's comment.
Okay.
He said, I've dealt with a full-on possession once. It's very real. I have seen fake ones on YouTube. Yeah, you, a real one, expect them to be super strong. They may be out of character, more intelligent in this particular case. I heard the girl say she one of someone's descendants.
Don't kick the dog. Don't kick it.
She has my slipper and she's trying to take off with the chair.
That's her slipper.
Deepness of voice changes. Also, they will talk lunatic at some point of attack. I've witnessed a lot myself from even an early age.
Yeah, that kind of stuff's interesting. I've never experienced that. Probably never will. It's interesting that most people who believe in such things are affected by them, and only them. I would love to do research on demonic possession cases that involve people that don't even believe in it. I know there's got to be some, right? There has to be, right? You can't just say they only exist for people that believe in them. I don't know. I wish I had the time. I wish I had the time to deal with it.
I also forgot about the shadow person at the jail. That was in the cell with
County?
Josh while he was sleeping. Yeah.
That was definitely human, right? That's how you described it.
Yeah. But he wanted Josh's body, so I don't know what his intent was, and of course Josh was asleep, so he was so blocked off, and you know how Josh is anyway.
Asleep, unconscious.
Yeah.
Sleeping deeper than you, that's why you're mad.
Right?
Joe says, there is a reason why only certain people are affected and others aren't. What demonic possession? What is your reasoning behind it, Joe? I think I was pretty clear on why I think so, but I don't want to say, oh, that's what I believe. Things only affect you, because you believe in them. I don't want it to seem like that's it. That's very possible, I believe, though. But, yeah. I think things, if you go looking for things, Pixar, it didn't happen. I think if you go looking for things, possibilities can be more prevalent. I think if you go looking for things, you can discover that there's things around that you didn't think existed just based on fear. don't, like I said, do not let fear keep you from knowing and understanding what is out there. Let that be the subset thing, the meaning behind the show. If you don't believe in non-human entities, don't make it because you fear it. Try to expand your understanding of the paranormal without fear, because that's very inhibiting. Yeah, I hear our 6-year-old demon in the living room howling right now. Well, he was. But anything that you girls would like to add before we wrap it up?
No.
Don't look tired, Jess. I'm tired.
She's yawned half the show.
I know. You just look at her eyes.
I've been hiding behind trying to hide behind the mic when I'm yawning.
Well, I've had you girls up on the screen for most part of the show, and you're like, oh. Okay, what's Joe say? Opportunist is believe that people who only experience demonic activity of any kind, especially possession, are those who are supposed to go to heaven or some sort, or a threat to them. That's very interesting. So, if you do not believe in the Christian faith, demons have no worries about dealing with you because, and based on that logic, they don't need to turn you away from Christ or God. Their work is already done by yourself. So that would mean that their only motivation is not to turn you away from God, but is to possess you and take control over you. So that's what's confusing to me is a lot of people will tell me why demons need to possess you and take you over. Like, there's a lot of conflicting beliefs on why they need to do that. Why possess a person or a demonic entity, aggravate a household if there was nothing they would get out of it, if they were destined to go someplace not so pleasant, not presenting facts though. Well, that would determine why, you believe that they possess people. Do they do it because they like to torture them? Do they do it because out of necessity? Or do they do it for other reasons? You too, RJ. We'll see you. That could be another show. But yeah, we can't get into it. But all right, girls, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for helping out again. You guys have been great. It's been a very interesting show. Very interesting comments. A lot to think about. And a lot to learn and explore. And just a lot to not know what the hell's going on, I would say. But, we'll take a look at the links. Once again, if you're new to the show, you can check out my paranormal research along with my field research group at interfacedeath.net. Subscribe to the mailing list. The links to all of our social media that you see there and more are on interfacedeath.net. So please follow the link in the video descriptions and check out our website. You can follow my paranormal research and my blog on Facebook at Justin Brown Paranormal Research. You can follow Interface Death on Twitter to keep up to date with everything going on. Check out some cool photos on Instagram. And check out Patreon if you want to support us financially and get rewarded for it, even at $1 a month. We'll elaborate on that here in a minute. And if you're watching on Facebook, check out our YouTube channel at Interface Death Paranormal Research and subscribe. Patreon is what makes this possible. All the names you see on the screen is why this content is here and gets better even. Clay Borman, RJ Murphy, Scotty Fox, Casey Schreiner, Jessica Bias, Bill Davis, Joe Vitale, Heather Elliott, General Rogue, Craig Williams, Trey Capital Shadow Seekers, and the Ghost Guild. They make it happen. If you like what you see and want to see it continue, please check out patreon.com/support Interface Death. $1 a month, $5 a month or more. There's different tiers and different rewards depending on what you donate. That's what makes this content possible. You will show up as a producer, and the films and the episodes that we put out on YouTube and our website. So please consider checking that out. I'm going to leave it there. You guys are great. You guys are awesome. You know that you are. please tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for our Necromancer live show with Pamela and Steve Barry. They are co-owners of the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange. They are paranormal investigators from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. They got the third annual Gettysburg Battlefield Bash that we will be attending again this year, the last weekend of July. We'll talk more about that tomorrow night on the Necromancer Live Show Facebook page and the Interface Death YouTube channel. You guys take it easy. You guys take care. I love you all very much. We'll see you next time. Do you have that drive? That morbid curiosity to explore the darkness? Do you have what it takes to brave the night? You do? Good.
down there? Not afraid. We know what it feels like to walk in the darkness.
this room over here? What the fuck, dude?
Whoa.
That's weird.
You didn't do anything, right?
No, it just turned.
Justin too close.
No, I
No,
wasn't
he
there.
opened that door and it went off.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you just run out of there?